What is up, guys? It's your boy Mo, and today we're back doing another video. You know what I'm saying? I know I have recorded in like a couple of days. You know what I'm saying? We on these last weeks of Ramadan. You know what I'm saying? So after that, everything gonna go back to normal. Y'all get videos every day. Y'all get videos during the daytime. You know what I'm saying? That's what's gonna happen with that. But anyways, though, we're back with another video. This video is actually, it's not even a little different. It's not even different at all. It's the same stuff we always watch. You know what I'm saying? This video is called 5 Most Disturbing Internet Rabbit Holes. Now, I don't think I actually watched a video like this in particular before on this channel, but we're doing it today. And yeah, I'm curious to what's this joint finna be about. No further ado, let's just get into the video. I'm not finna waste your time, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm almost out of time anyways, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, let's go. Let me make sure my joint turn up again.
UFC walkout photo. On October 18th, 2025, a UFC flyweight match between Brendan Allen and Ryanair de Ridder in Vancouver went viral across the internet, but not because of the fight itself. Instead, the moment that caught everyone's attention happened during Brendan's walkout. A small handful of people noticed that as he was making his way to the octagon, a fan flashed his phone to the camera for a split second, showing what looked like a very disturbing image. What a lot of people thought was the picture of a lifeless body lying on the ground.
It
What
looked
made
like
this
it.
already creepy incident even more disturbing was when the camera moved a bit further and showed the person who was holding the phone. He was wearing a luchador-inspired wrestling mask, likely to hide his identity, all while looking directly at the camera with an unsettling, almost psychotic smile on his face.
Kind of crazy, I'm not
Which
even lying.
begs the question, what was this picture, and why did he...
That don't look. I mean, I don't think you can say that's lifeless. We don't know what that is.
He showed
The
on
quality
live
is
TV
kinda
to an
terrible,
audience
but
of
no.
millions. Reverse image searching the picture on the phone doesn't bring up any similar results, and no one has been able to link it to some movie
Bro,
or
you're
TV
not
show.
gonna be able to find something like that. Y'all niggas act like FBI agents. FBI agents wouldn't even go that type of like openly just to find something like that. Like, they're not gonna do casual findings, you know what I'm saying? They could literally just go through somebody's whole gallery and see where that picture came from. Y'all not doing that. Y'all trying to go on Google looking for some bullshit that y'all never seen before on the internet. If you seen it on the internet before, bro, of course you're gonna find it. But nah.
In other words, the person holding the phone likely took the picture themselves, and judging from what it looks
Bro,
like...
I feel like somebody on Reddit would know who that was in the picture. Like, niggas on Reddit be knowing a lot of shit, bro. Y'all will be amazed.
The most disturbing explanation
They
that
be
comes
knowing the
to
stories
mind
behind
is that
everything,
the man
too.
in the luchador mask had killed the person in the photo. The person appeared to have heavy bruises, including black eyes and possibly a bloody mouth.
Bro, we can
Even if
barely
they were
see that, bro.
alive, they appeared
The
to be
quality
in
is
serious danger,
bad.
possibly after being kidnapped by the perpetrator.
The quality is
While
bad,
this
bro.
might sound absurd at first, it's definitely a real possibility to consider. There have been countless killers throughout history who craved attention and deliberately left behind clues to become famous. Maybe this particular killer thought showing off their crime on TV was the best way to receive that attention. And with the virality and discussion online, he certainly achieved that goal. On a similar note, this could also be a ransom kidnapping situation, where the stunt was meant to publicly prove the victim was still alive to their family, especially since sending the photo directly would risk law enforcement tracing it back to the
Oh, that's
kidnappers.
wild. I ain't even gonna
That
lie.
said, there are a few notable innocent theories suggesting the opposite that have likely kept law enforcement...
Wait, what it say? It said, went back and watched the actual walkout on ESPN and the screenshot. The other posts are legit. The dude flashing the phone has a mask on, but you can also see a big grin on his face, as if he was there to do it. He doesn't look very old, and it looks like a couple of buddies trolling to get some attention. Hope I'm right. Looks like a victim on the phone. Hopefully not.
from conducting any real investigation. Some have suggested that this was
I
nothing...
don't know about y'all, but I'm gonna keep it a stack, bro. The quality on the phone is bad, so we don't know what that
As
is.
a
We
user
know it's a
on Reddit
person,
speculated,
but we don't know like what's happening. Like,
To me, it looks like some college-aged guy laying on a bathroom floor with makeup on.
that could be that
A dude
too.
who got so drunk his mates decided to mess with him by drawing on his face or putting makeup on him, then took a picture. One of them decided to shame him even further by
And
flashing
y'all
it
thought
to
that was a
UFC
dead body,
news
bro.
cameras
You would be able to tell.
would be broadcasting.
it's also possible that it could be a deliberate attempt to create a creepy hoax, especially since it happened fairly close to Halloween. Cropping out just the phone and brightening up the image also makes it look a bit more like a regular photo. Some argue
Why's
that
that?
now it looks like a man simply sunbathing on an outdoor lounge chair with a pool in the background. But why would someone be motivated to show something
The
like this?
fact
if
y'all
it really
went this
was an
far
innocent
to
picture?
try to like
At
prove
the end of
this
the
photo's
day,
crazy.
all of these theories are just guesses, and any number of things could really be going on here, innocent or disturbing. Because the masked man's identity was never revealed.
I'm gonna keep it being though. Y'all taking this way farther than it need to be taken. We don't know. Maybe he's trying to troll his buddies on TV. You know what I'm saying?
University of Phoenix is built for real life. At some schools, to save money, you have to move fast and load
Yo,
up on
bro.
courses.
It really makes me mad how y'all have no ad skips on these type of videos.
Get
Literally.
started at phoenix.edu.
For millions of others in Gaza, Yemen, Somalia, and beyond, this can be a lifesaver. The Prophet's
Buried alive in Brazil. In January 2018, a 37-year-old Brazilian woman named Rosângela Almeida was going about her day when she suddenly collapsed out of nowhere. She was rushed to the hospital where doctors found that she had experienced 2 cardiac arrests. She was in critical condition and eventually passed away on January 28 after barely clinging to life for a few days in the ICU. Her family held a memorial service for her that evening, and she was buried in the Sonora Santana Cemetery near her hometown. Her remains were placed in a wooden casket which was encased in a solid concrete tomb. Losing her at such a young age was devastating for her family, and especially her mother. What none of them knew, however, was that their grief was about to take a dark, tragic turn. You see, a day after her burial, reportedly, people living next to the cemetery started hearing noises from graves. These included the sound of someone banging their hands against a hard surface, as well as a faint scream in some instances. However, the neighbors initially brushed off the noises as a prank by children, something that apparently happened often enough for them to ignore the noises entirely. But several days passed, and the sounds did not stop. It wasn't until 11 days later that someone realized that the sounds were coming directly from Rosângela's grave. The neighbors immediately alerted her family upon making this discovery, fearing that she might have been falsely declared deceased and was still alive when buried. What made the situation even more concerning was the fact that Rosângela had been suffering from fainting spells ever since she was little. The time she spent unconscious had also been increasing over the years. Maybe she was just passed out when the hospital staff incorrectly declared her dead. Family, friends...
It's possible because wasn't she like in a third world country or something like that? That's what it looked like. They had to be like a third world country, so I'm gonna really say this. They have a history of doing shit like that. To where they falsely declare people dead and shit. So what you would mean with you? Probably what happened. She probably wasn't even dead for real. It's like they don't know how to check pulses or anything. Like
and neighbors rushed to the cemetery and opened her coffin, hoping to save her, with some people recording the whole event. Sadly, Rosângela was showing no signs of life. However, the people who touched her body exclaimed that she was still a bit warm to the touch, implying that she was at least alive up until very recently. Later reports also claimed that the nails in the coffin were looser than they were when she was buried, and that there were injuries on her wrists and blood marks on the inside of the coffin that weren't present before. Even the pieces of cotton placed in her nose and ears were knocked out. Most importantly, witnesses reported that she didn't seem nearly decomposed enough for someone who had died 11 days earlier. After the casket was exhumed, Rosângela was taken back to a nearby hospital where she was pronounced dead for a second time and buried once again. The question everyone had on their mind, however, was whether she was buried alive the first time. Her family, and particularly her mother, believed that was the case. Testimony from other people also seemed to back this conclusion, with one neighbor
you
stating,
see them third world countries, bro. You know what I think? I think what they need to do is they need to have them little joints they had in the 1800s, where they had like a little bell, and if you was buried alive or something, you could ring it from like inside the grill. You know what I'm saying? They stopped having that in like America. I think America was where they had that at. I don't know. But I just knew that happened at some point in time. They need to have that over there because they medical shit is like really ass. Like y'all be falsely
There were
declaring
more
people
than
dead.
500 people who came here and packed the cemetery. Everybody went to see. Lots of people touched her foot, and everybody saw that she was still warm. She wasn't cold.
Now, there are countless real stories of people tragically getting buried alive by accident, with many eventually passing away in the coffins before they could be rescued. And while the vast majority of these stories are from before we had modern medical tech, errors still do happen to this day. Just a few years ago, a Chinese woman was declared dead and sent to the funeral home before being discovered to be still alive. So the idea of the same thing happening to Rosangela was a real
COVID?
possibility, especially when we consider
Wait,
the
but
fainting
during
stage.
COVID though? Damn. Wait, so oh, that's crazy. I'm not even gonna lie. I can't even comprehend that
However,
shit.
despite all the reports and supposed evidence, both the doctors and investigators stayed adamant that she had passed away before her burial. In a statement to the media, the doctor explained that she was already in a serious, irreversible condition when she arrived at the hospital. From there, she was put under an intense level of monitoring to observe all her vitals closely. So there was no way he could have falsely assumed her to be dead under those conditions. As for the slower decomposition, that was explained by the result of her being on strong antibiotics while she was in the hospital. But these explanations failed to convince Rosangela's mother, who was
Oh, that
devastated.
makes sense now. Yo, what if they gave her something to the point where, like, cause it's actually possible for a type of like pill for you to take like any type of like drug or something, and then it slows down your heart rate to the point where they couldn't even tell if she had a pulse or not. That's crazy.
By the thought of her daughter
That's
enduring
probably what
days of
happened.
suffering buried in her casket. The case also became major news across Brazil, with many even accusing the police of not doing a proper investigation to protect the hospital and the doctors. So, what really happened? Was Rosangela actually buried alive? From everything I was able to find, it's not likely. For instance, many people reported her body being warm to the touch after opening the casket, suggesting she was alive up until recently. However, even if we assume that she was buried alive, there's no way she would have had enough air in the tomb to stay alive for 11 days straight. Giving it the benefit of the doubt, let's assume there was a hole somewhere in the tomb big enough to let fresh air in. Even then, it's near impossible for her to stay alive without water for long, all while screaming and banging on the coffin.
Let me look something up real quick. Let me look something up real quick, cause I got something. We gonna search how long can you go without water? 3 days. Fuck. Wait a minute. Reduce urine. Alright, so yeah, you can only stay alive without water for like 3 days.
Speaking of
That's
which,
crazy.
the investigators also claimed that they didn't find anyone who personally heard the noises, implying that it was nothing more than a rumor. That said, the details surrounding the case, like the reports of wrist injuries and blood marks, are
It's
still a bit
possible,
murky
bro. It's possible. It's possible, y'all.
to reach a solid conclusion. Whether or not Rosangela was actually buried alive is still, and will likely remain, unknown.
Standard stuff, Shaz.
Bro, the unskippable ads, bro. Why? Do y'all be knowing I'm be reacting to this
Who's
shit?
sliding into her DMs? A single Spokio search
I
can help you
don't
discover
give
who's
a
getting comfy
fuck,
in her
man.
inbox.
Okay. No.
The Wikipedia. WWE wrestler Chris Benoit was scheduled for a live house show on Saturday, June 23, 2007 in Texas. But hours before the event, the 40-year-old wrestler called management and claimed that he wouldn't be able to make it because both his wife and son were ill with food poisoning. But he didn't show up the next day and wasn't picking up his phone either. After over 24 hours of trying to contact him, the WWE management dialed 911 and requested a wellness check for Chris on Monday, June 25, assuming that maybe he was sick as well and needed help.
He probably
However,
was.
nothing could have prepared the officers that were dispatched to his home for the tragedy they were about to witness. They arrived at his house in Georgia at around 2:30 p.m. and rang the bell. When no one answered, they looked for a way inside and discovered the garage door was wide open. The whole house was eerily silent, the reason for which became apparent when they discovered the remains of Chris, his wife, and his son scattered throughout the house. And as it turned out, the person responsible for this tragedy was Chris himself. He ended the lives of both his wife and son before turning on himself. The question now was why? Why would Chris do such a thing? But before the investigators could answer that question, they received a tip that challenged everything they thought they knew about this case. They were contacted by a Wikipedia representative who claimed that someone had made a suspicious edit to the Chris Benoit Wikipedia page at 12:01 a.m., over 14 hours before police did the welfare check. The edit read,
Chris Benoit was replaced by Johnny Nitro for the ECW Championship match at Vengeance, as Benoit was not there due to personal issues stemming from the death of his wife, Nancy.
The thing about Wikipedia is that it's a social collaboration platform where anyone can add new info or make edits. One possible explanation was
Oh
that
shit,
Chris,
never trust Wikipedia. I've been knew this. They've been telling us this growing up. I'm not
for
even
some
gonna lie.
reason, made
I
this
see
edit
why
himself. However, the autopsy report revealed that Chris had actually ended everything by Sunday evening, many hours before the edit. So, how did someone learn about what had happened before the news broke out? The possibilities were endless. Maybe he had a second accomplice, or maybe he told someone about what he had done earlier. Tracing his phone revealed that he had sent 5 cryptic messages to 2 of his colleagues, Chavo Guerrero Jr. and Scott Armstrong, including one message that he sent 4 times, reading,
My physical address is 130 Green Meadow Lane, Fayetteville, Georgia.
and the second one that read,
The dogs are in the enclosed pool area. Garage side door is open.
These were sent just before 4 a.m. on Sunday, after he had already taken the lives of his wife and son. However, despite their unsettling nature, investigators didn't find any connection between what Chris did and the colleagues he sent these messages to. As for why he did it, the autopsy report also revealed that Chris had CTE, which is a progressive brain disease linked to repeated head impacts. His brain resembled that of an 85-year-old with dementia. Put simply, he likely experienced an extreme mental breakdown which resulted in an irreversible tragedy. However, while
That's
this review
crazy.
explained most of what happened, the Wikipedia edit was still a mystery. This mystery deepened further when investigators managed to trace the IP address that was used to make the edit and discovered that it was from Stamford, Connecticut, the location of the WWE headquarters. This, combined with the text messages, reignited rumors that WWE management might have been involved in what happened. But before the case could move in that
They
direction,
probably was, bro. You know how they be
investigators found the
doing
man
shit.
who made the edit, a 19-year-old university student named Matthew Greenberg. Matthew
Bro,
had
we
the-
recently learned that the NBA be having a lot of rigged shit. Seriously, man.
was surprisingly cooperative. He allowed the police to confiscate his computer and other devices to investigate and agreed to an interrogation without any resistance. And when asked about his edit, he claimed that he made it after seeing rumors of it on wrestling forums.
Well, over like last weekend, the wrestler Benoit, there was like, rumors going on that he missed the pay-per-view and his scheduled dates, which he never does. And I was reading rumors and speculation online.
Where online?
Like on forums, I forgot the exact sites. But I was like,
Okay, hold on. On forums?
yeah,
Okay. In any chat rooms?
no, not chat rooms. I was just reading about it, and some rumors came up, and I just
Yeah, what were the rumors?
that his family was sick or someone maybe died, like his wife perhaps, because he missed the pay-per-view.
Okay.
He was apparently telling the truth, as investigators didn't find a link between him and Chris. Wikipedia admins also found several other false edits he had made over the years, suggesting he was just an internet troll who guessed the truth by pure coincidence. Or at least that's the official story. Some believe that Matthew either had something to do with the incident, or at least had insider information, especially since he wasn't the only one who made a similar edit. Something I haven't mentioned yet is that there was a second similar edit just 1 hour after Matthews was removed, stating that Chris missed his show because of the passing of Benoit's wife, Nancy. The IP for this edit was traced to Sydney, Australia, but the person who made it was never identified. For some, this is the confirmation that what everyone knows about Chris isn't the whole story, and there was something else going on below the surface. On the other hand, the existence of this second edit could be used to prove Matthew's innocence, as they suggest the rumors were genuinely circulating on wrestling forums, since 2 seemingly unrelated people attempted the same change.
That's crazy. I'm about to be back, yo. I'm not even gonna lie. Shit. I had some food down there. I was cooking this joint for I don't know how long. Saying, oh shit. Let me do that, yo.
That said, it's been more than 18 years since this incident, so even if there was something deeper behind it, at this point it's unlikely to be revealed. Sunset Cruise. The final days of May 2023 were meant to be a celebration for 18-year-old Cameron Robbins, a recent high school graduate from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. He was on a celebratory cruise in the Bahamas with several hundred fellow graduates. The festivities, however, took a devastating turn on the evening of May 24th, leading to a mystery that the internet is still debating to this day. At around 9:30 p.m., Cameron was aboard the small cruise ship named the Blackbeard's Revenge.
He jumped off?
Inhabited Athol Island, northwest of Nassau. The ship was stocked with alcohol, And since the legal drinking age in the Bahamas is 18, Cameron and his friends were drinking non-stop. But as they were enjoying their time on the cruise, someone reportedly dared Cameron to take a leap off the ship into the dark water. Cameron, likely due to heavy intoxication, agreed to the dare instantly and jumped overboard, resulting
Bro, this is why alcohol is dangerous, bro. Like, all y'all that be drinking, bro, y'all need to chill. Because I gotta understand this. When you under the influence of alcohol, bro, it make you confident to do a lot of shit. It's like, think of it as like a substance that you take to be more like reckless, or, you know, just like, I don't really know how to explain it to you, but yeah, just y'all get the point, bro.
one of his friends recording this video using Snapchat.
He drowning? And they all drunk, so you know they're not gonna get no help for cuz.
This was, unfortunately, the last time anyone saw Cameron alive. The crew stopped as quickly as it could, and the crew alerted the Coast Guard about Cameron's disappearance. However, despite an extensive 2-day-long search of a 325 square mile area,
Damn!
he was nowhere to be found. He more than likely
All that because they want to have alcohol in the fucking ship, and they got a lot of kids with
he
them, bro.
passed away not long after jumping overboard. But even his remains were never discovered, which, considering the extensive search, was very odd. And the reason for it, according to some, is that he was attacked by a shark shortly after his jump. This theory began when someone noticed what looked like a large fish swimming toward Cameron seconds after he landed in the water.
I noticed that too, but I
Moments
didn't think that was a
later,
fish. He
Cameron
was
could also
still
be seen
like,
swimming in the opposite direction while ignoring the life preserver right in front of him, almost as if he saw the shark and was trying to get away from it. That said, the evidence supporting this theory is a bit inconsistent. On the one hand, the shark population in the Bahamas is quite healthy. These cruise ships
you mean to tell me a nigga seen a shark, right? And he not screaming nothing? That's crazy.
often throw food waste overboard as well, likely causing the local marine life to associate them with food. So it's possible that a shark was following the ship and immediately swam over to Cameron to investigate as soon as it heard him hit the water. Additionally,
Damn.
many sharks also hunt at night, making shark attacks on humans much more likely. However, while this shows that a shark attack was a possibility, it doesn't outright prove it, especially when the evidence indicating the opposite is just as strong. For starters, the phone video that started this theory is extremely low resolution and blurry. What people interpret as a shark
Nah, what could that be
just
then?
a wave reflecting the ship's light. Cameron swimming away from the life preserver can also be explained as being intoxicated and being disoriented after hitting the water. Most importantly, while the Bahamas has plenty of sharks, their numbers around Athol Island specifically are extremely low, making the chances of Cameron being attacked by one even lower. A more straightforward explanation
Possible,
for Cameron's
nigga.
disappearance is the combined effect of exhaustion and environmental factors. Even in the warm climate of the Bahamas, prolonged exposure to water at night can quickly lead to hypothermia. The average sea temperature around the Bahamas in late May is certainly survivable for a short time, but the physical stress of jumping from a significant height, coupled with the immediate panic and exertion of swimming in the dark, open sea, would rapidly diminish a person's physical and mental capacity. Cameron was also seen swimming initially, but his direction appeared erratic. Even a strong swimmer can quickly become disoriented and exhausted when facing strong currents, and the immediate onset of psychological terror of
Why the fuck would he do that? Like, I ain't gonna lie, bro. That'd be so crazy.
alone in the vast ocean.
Just seeing people do
Not
stupid
to
shit.
mention the fact that Cameron was highly intoxicated, turning the already difficult task of surviving in those waters into a near impossibility. And while the definitive cause of Cameron's death, whether by exhaustion, hypothermia,
Damn,
a shark
2004 to
encounter, or a
2023.
drowning accident remains unknown, what is clear is the tragedy of a young life cut short so abruptly, with the incident serving as a stark reminder of the inherent danger of the open sea, particularly at night. The Mad Gasser of Mattoon. On the night of September
Look, do
1st,
y'all realize how crazy that is if you get into a situation like that and nobody can recover your body? Literally. Like, I don't know if I was yogging. I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like if you under a situation where nobody can recover your body, bro, ever, and you went through a situation like that, bro, I wouldn't even be able to rest, bro. I'm not even gonna lie. You know how they say rest in peace and all that? I don't even think I'll be able to rest, bro. I ain't even gonna lie to you. That's crazy.
It was 1944. A woman in the small town of Mattoon, Illinois, named Aline Carney, woke up smelling a sickening sweet odor in her bedroom at around 11 p.m. She dismissed the odor at first, thinking it was just the scent of flowers drifting in from outside her open window. But the sweetness soon became suffocatingly intense. She tried to get out of bed to investigate, but collapsed to the floor as soon as she stood up. That's when she realized she had no feeling in her arms or legs. The odor was also starting to cause a burning sensation on her lips and throat, making it difficult to even breathe. Seconds later, she also heard her daughter crying on the bed, asking why she couldn't move her arms or legs. Hearing this, Aline used all the strength she had to call for help, eventually getting the attention of her sister, who was sleeping in a different room. Her sister noticed the smell as well and determined that it was coming from the open bedroom window. She ran out to call the neighbors for help. Around the same time, Aline's husband, who was a taxi driver, pulled into the driveway. Right before he could get out of his car, he was horrified to see a thin, tall figure standing outside the bedroom window. It was dressed in all black with what looked like a gas mask on its...
What?
face and was holding a strange tubular device in its hand. The husband tried to chase after it, but the figure disappeared into a nearby alleyway. Given what they knew, the family concluded that the sweet-smelling gas had been released into the bedroom by the mysterious figure, later dubbed the Mad Gasser of Mattoon by the local media.
Bro, what was the chemical? We gonna find out what that is?
Without any permanent damage to their bodies. However, the attack
He said what?
they were able to recover without any permanent damage to their bodies. However, the attack on their home became the template for numerous similar incidents over the next 2 weeks. Victims, mostly women and often home alone or with family, would report being hit with an odorless gas or sometimes a sickly sweet smell. This was followed by a range of symptoms
Sickly
like
sweet smell. I'm trying to imagine it. I can't decipher that shit. Like, I don't know, bro.
vomiting, temporary paralysis, dizziness, disorientation, and a burning sensation in the throat or eyes. In some cases, the symptoms lasted for hours, requiring medical attention. Yet, despite the severity of these chemical attacks, any
Bro,
attempts
did
to
he just
investigate
tear gas them? That's what he did?
the gasser came up empty. There was no visible damage to homes, no broken windows, and no fingerprints. The mysterious assailant seemed to vanish into thin air. Witnesses and
I
victims
fucking miss
reported
my
seeing
seafood,
shadows
bro.
or figures lurking outside their windows, specifically near the ventilation openings of their homes. But the police never found any evidence of it. The sheer volume of attacks, with at least 29 officially reported incidents in a very short span, combined with the inability of law enforcement to find any evidence, created an atmosphere of absolute terror. It reached a point where some citizens took it upon themselves to patrol the streets with firearms. People were sleeping in shifts, guarding their homes and neighbors. However,
Yeah, I'm about to go to bed. I'm about to go to bed. I'm about to go to bed real quick, y'all. Yeah. I ain't even gonna lie again.
they tried. The perpetrator was never identified or captured, leaving the Mad Gasser of Mattoon
That's
as
crazy.
an unsolved mystery. But it's worth asking whether these attacks by a chemical assailant were even real, or was the entire phenomenon an unprecedented wave of mass hysteria? The argument for it being a real assailant rests almost
Bro,
entirely
it
on
sound like some shit that would happen that long ago, though.
actual medical findings and specifically of the reported symptoms. In the first few cases, doctors and police were genuinely convinced that a real chemical agent had been deployed. The victim's symptoms like paralysis, nausea, and the burning sensation were too consistent and too severe to be immediately dismissed as simple panic. On the other hand, the argument for this being a case of mass hysteria is incredibly compelling. It's also the theory favored by many criminologists and psychologists who have reviewed the case since. As the theory goes, while it's possible that the few initial incidents might have involved a real criminal, the vast majority of the 29 reported attacks were likely the result of psychological contagion. The terror of a mysterious, invisible attacker, amplified by continuous sensational newspaper coverage, made people hypersensitive to any strange smell or discomfort. Many of the reported symptoms, for example, like headaches, nausea, anxiety, and difficulty breathing, are also symptoms of acute anxiety or hyperventilation. A common
Bro,
reaction
my
to
question
extreme
is this though. I'm just trying to understand this. Were they on the first floor sleeping, and that just happened, or was there like the second floor? And
Police searches
a nigga
also
climbed
attributed
up in
the
there and
chemical
tried to-
odors found to common household cleaners, furnace gas leaks, or industrial pollution that was a regular part of life near Mattoon's industrial plants. A major breakthrough for the hysteria theory came when the Mattoon police publicly stated that the attacks weren't real and were likely caused by the community's war anxiety around World War II at the time and a collective nervous breakdown. And
Let's
to
be real,
everyone's
bro.
surprise,
If it's World War II, you gotta realize that's what you call terrorism, bro. That can't be fake.
the Matt Gasser of
Y'all need
Mattoon
to
attack
debunk
stopped
that
almost
theory.
immediately after the police released this statement. Ultimately, the case is left suspended between a real chemical criminal and a genuine mass panic.
Bro, if
There
it's
is a-
World War II and there's people going around different cities doing shit like that, then that means this is actually somebody doing that shit.
Possibility that the story began with one or two initial genuine attacks using a non-lethal irritant, which then acted as the trigger for a widespread case of what is medically known as mass psychogenic illness, where symptoms and fear spread rapidly throughout a community without an identifiable physical cause. But at this point, we will likely never know.
Okay, bro. Anyways, y'all, that's the end of the video. I hope y'all enjoy it. You know what I'm saying? I might record another video tonight on some real shit, cause I'm saying I gotta get right back to it. Like I just been thinking about that for a couple days. I was like, man, should I get back to recording videos? And I'm like, shit, that's what we gonna do then. But yeah, I hope y'all enjoy. Y'all be safe out there. I always tell y'all this every single video. And we out. We bipping. You know what I'm saying?